Welcome to Modern Farm Business Podcast. This podcast is designed to help the farm leader bring their business to the next level. We'll cover everything from leadership and finance to strategy and planning. I'm your host, Dean Hefta. I'm excited to have with me today Bryan Dodge. Raised in Colorado, a graduate from the University of Nebraska, and he's well experienced in the world of agriculture. After 7 years with Elanco, Bryan founded the educational seminar company Results, Inc. Today, he runs Dodge Development, a consulting firm that focuses on helping family businesses implement best practices, build better teams, and solidify leadership. Bryan lives near Dallas, Texas, and provides keynote speaking, business consulting, and executive coaching. He's the author of the books Becoming the Obvious Choice, The Good Life Rules, and the upcoming Principles of an Unstoppable Family Business. Bryan, welcome to the program.
What an honor, Dean. What an honor. And yeah, I'm very excited about the new book, The Principles of an Unstoppable Family Business. You know, how successful family businesses think and grow. Because you and I have known each other for a long time. I've been in this industry for almost 30 years. I'm all about family, and you know, agriculture is in my heart.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to your new book. I've loved all of your stuff that you've written and the messages that you continually share. And, you know, as you know, family and farming go hand in hand. And let's get right at it. When you hear the term family business, what goes through your mind? What do you think about?
Family business. Now you're talking something that gets me excited. Family business is the sweet spot. I call it the sweet spot in the book. It really is. I mean, you're born, you know, some people, you know, you win the lottery, okay, and you got all this money and that's something, or your mom and dad own this land and you become wealthy because of the land. Many of us live over our lifetime where we go, ifs and buts or candies and nuts. I mean, if mom and dad would have bought this, imagine where we'd be. Or if we could have done that, imagine what we could have done. Well, being born into the agricultural business and being born into a business that is run by family is the most valuable thing that anybody could be able to really benefit from, because it's a business that has been established through family. It's a business that allows family to work together, even though, hey, I've been married 39 years. There's no such thing as a perfect family, right, Dean?
Exactly.
And there's no drama in family, is there? I mean, come on. Right. But there's nothing more valuable than when family is united with a common goal. In the world we're in today, families go so many different directions because there's so much temptation, so much possibilities. And let's be clear, Dean, in some cases, people don't have a choice. They're not born into a family business. And in some cases in the agricultural industry, let's think about this for a moment. You know me. I grew up in the agriculture industry. We had a cow-calf operation in Elbert, Colorado. I went to school to be in the ag industry, animal specific, and that was my goal. I wanted to go on and really manage and work my dad's cow-calf operation. And unfortunately, we lost it. And so today, if that wouldn't have happened, I would be in the agriculture industry. I would be there. So anybody that's listening today, you have to learn one thing. There's good and average. Good people appreciate what they have while they have it. Right, Dean?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Average people only appreciate what they have after they lose it. The thing about a family business that's difficult is you're born into it, so you take it for granted. If there was one thing that I could reach in the hearts of anybody listening to what you work so hard to do, and that's bring good knowledge to an industry that you love with all your heart. And that is, fall back in love with your business as if it was the first day. And also realize there's some very specific mistakes that people make that makes it harder for you to keep family in the business. In the book, I cover each of those categories. So I hope someday they'll reach out and read them.
Could you've been around and consulted and been so close to so many family businesses. Could you highlight one or two that you've really found, man, this really has to be on people's radar that they don't slip into this mistake track?
Oh, yeah. First of all, there's a lot of them, Dean, but I'll cover a couple. First of all, everybody's different. I mean, I have 3 kids in my family. John is different. Zach is different. Nicole's different. So what you don't want to do, and I married in a family of 8 kids, 7 girls, 1 boy. Imagine that one, Dean, right?
Oof, wow.
Yeah, that's what I say. But anyway, the only fact of it is everybody's different. Everybody has their own advantage, their own talent. Too often what happens in family businesses is when you get into family business, you think this is what I should do because I'm part of the family. No. What you need to define is what they do best. And more importantly, they become comfortable with what they do best. Like for an example, you might have somebody that's very good with numbers, and it's very good with accounting and very good with, paying attention to futures. Well, that's kind of a mindset that not everybody has. Or you have somebody just loves the physical. Like me, I love to get out in the field. I love to work all day. A good day's work is not a problem. It's a gift. And so you first find out where each of the kids love to be the most and align that with their advantage, what they're the best at. I see so often, Dean, where like with a company I was working up in, on the East Coast, and there was 3 boys and Dad said, you're all vice presidents. Now, Dean, does that make sense?
No, if everybody's in charge, nobody's in charge.
and then the worst one is we're all paying you equally. That's even crazier. And then what happened was there was one of them that was obviously the president because of his advantage. It's what that person was made out to be. The other one was the rainmaker. I call it the person that can go out and generate business. That's what that one loved. And the other one was service. I mean, it was so amazing how each one of the 3 specifically had an advantage that fit what the company needed. But when I got there, Dad said, you're all vice presidents. We're all paying equally. Well, they couldn't get along. They wouldn't even talk to each other. Do you know the 3 of them hadn't even talked? They worked in the same building, didn't communicate with themselves for as many as 5 years. Now tell me, was that company growing or was it dying?
No way it can grow.
No way it can grow. When family is united, Dean, in any industry, then everything based on the business grows. The strength of the agriculture industry is family. Stronger the family, stronger the industry. And also there's some great news. You know it. For years I would be out educating and sharing, and I'd look in the audience as I said, hey, you guys are making me feel young, right? and the young ones, they were leaving the industry. Well, here's the good news, folks, and you see it and you understand it. It's good that they did leave. It's good that they did go into cities. They did go into other parts of the country. They learned about, companies that don't fulfill their promises. They learned about ways that you can do things better, but they also were reminded where their heart lies. And because the agriculture industry is what it is, they're coming back. Would you agree with that, Dean?
Yeah, it's interesting. Even in these challenging times that we've seen in agriculture the last few years, and they have been challenging, you're still seeing an optimism and a youthfulness in many different aspects of agriculture. And that is exciting. And there's better technology and lots of creativity that's happening right now. But when you look at that, these are still small businesses in many cases, and we have to wear a lot of hats. How do you manage that as a family business where certain things have to get done and maybe none of us really have that advantage or that gift and that passion to take care of that one area? How do you deal with that?
Well, I think there's one thing that, because I grew up in the agriculture industry, I knew that, we love to serve the family. When you have a heart of serving the family, then it doesn't matter what you're doing. We're all doing the same thing. I mean, perfect example, putting up hay during, that time of year. I didn't want to be the one back in the loft. I know these guys are going, man, loft. What are you talking about, a loft? I mean, I wouldn't, that kind of dates me a little bit. I want to be the one they're throwing the bales up to, and I got to haul them all the way back there because that was hot. That was irritating. That was frustrating. It was the hardest work ever. But on the other hand, guess what? That was my year. See, when everybody shares a piece of that responsibility on a fair basis, not equal, there's no such thing as equal. It's sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. But when family realizes they're willing to do that together, anything is possible. It's when you try to structure it to where it's more of a controlled environment than it is a supported environment. That's where you get into problems. This is what you do, and this is what you only do. No, you need to create an environment where family has the ability to support each other. And that's from the inside, not from the outside. And a lot of times what happens is when you see that starting to break down, Dean, that's when you need to bring family together and communicate. Now, that's one of the things that I've noticed. Even every industry is the same. So if in the agriculture industry, don't feel like you're the only ones. That would be a no. Everybody, the biggest problem we have when it comes to family business is communication, not only with the kids, but with the families that were brought in because of who they married. So once or twice a year, one of the greatest things to do is make sure that you bring all their spouses in, you bring everybody together, and you talk about the goals. Where are we going with the farm? What are some of the things we need to do different with the farm? Because if they're involved in those conversations, then the conversation doesn't become two conversations. Where, say, for example, I'm the dad and Dean, you're my son, and we're having this conversation about the farm and how we got to improve and what we got to do. And your brother and sister are having the conversation. And now you and your brother and sister have to go home and have the conversation with your spouses. Now, you and I both know the conversations are going to change when that process occurs. Am I right?
Yeah, it's the telephone game, right?
Exactly. And so here's what you do. As a mom, as a father, you bring everybody together. So that way, if you're saying it, they hear it better. They don't have to listen. They hear it better. And we can all agree to disagree. Not everybody's going to be perfectly happy, but it's called the sweet spot. What they have to be is thankful for what they have first. And too often, it's that ability to forget what they have allows them to do what they really don't want to do.
The thing about family business, whether you're on a farm or whatever, I mean, on the farm, a lot of times you're living at your business. Kind of like if I lived above my bakery and I run a bakery, how do we better manage not letting our business take over our life and take over the family?
Well, that one is not as hard as you think it is. Okay. Because in essence, I hate to break the news to you, everybody has the same battle. Even though you might have an office downtown, you bring your phone home, you bring your computer home. Technology allows you to be connected in business as if you never left the office anymore. So the key of it is, even though you're in the same home, by the way, you should be thankful for that. Even though you have, last time I checked, Dean, because I know what it's like. My dad had the most beautiful ranch in the world. And it was in the valley, and waking up in the morning and looking out the window, that was heaven. That was like the greatest place to be able to call my job, my office. One thing you have to realize is farmers are waking up where everybody wants to be. If you go to a lot of these offices, what do they have on their cubicles? Pictures of your farm, pictures of your valley, pictures of your barn. They all want to be there. So everybody's fighting the same thing. So don't give it an excuse in the agriculture industry just because you live in the same place that you work. Don't do that. What you have to do is like all of us have to do. You have to have separation. That means when you come into the house that you actually say there's a point in which, and a good analysis is simple. You have an office in the home, and there's a location where you do all your paperwork, you do all your evaluations, you do all what's needed to be done. Then when you leave that office, you close the door. And then you understand one principle. When you are where you are, be there. That means now you're in the living room, you're in the kitchen. Don't go in the living room kitchen with your laptop and sit in front of the TV and do business. Turn off the business so you can make your family and that time a priority. It's that simple, Dean.
So just be where you are. I love it. Really powerful. Going back to your previous book, The Good Life Rules, you discussed the law of diminishing intent. Tell us more about that.
Oh, the law of diminishing intent. Hey, that one, that has been a blessing to my family. That has been a blessing to me for so many years. The Good Life Rules book, you can go to Amazon or you can go to BryanDodge.com and you can see it. It's now in 4 different languages. But one of the things I talk about is the truth of diminishing intent. What it really comes down to is we've got some problems in this world, and we all know that. When road rage is of the top 5 issues in every state in the United States, what is up with that, folks? Well, the problem is that we're too busy doing what doesn't matter, that we can't find time to do what does matter. Well, how do you really know what matters? Nobody knows it better in the agriculture industry, and that's follow your heart. Your heart doesn't lie, never has. So the truth of diminishing intent says what comes to your heart, you have to act upon it within 48 hours. If you do, Dean, you beat the enemies, interruptions, distractions, and you kill procrastination. You move all the things that matter forward that are good. And that's been, I was just on a plane coming back from Denver last night after a program with a bunch of dentists out there. Hey, you'll laugh. I told them, I said, if I catch any of you staring at my teeth, you're out of here. And so a guy tapped me. I was sitting next to me, he tapped me on the shoulders. He said, no, you don't know who I am, but I just want to let you know, my wife gave me the book, The Good Life Rules. And that law of diminishing intent has been the biggest impact on our relationship, bar none. When my wife and I say this came from the heart, we make it happen. And ever since then, we're not missing phone calls. We're not missing times. We're not missing friends. And we just feel better about our life. We don't walk around with this guilt like we should have done that, but we didn't. We got too busy, so we should have. All those things that mentally drive you nuts now become at peace. And here's the key I really share. The people that are in the agricultural industry, God bless you. God bless you. You feed the world. You do a lot of good for the world itself. What I ask of you in the agricultural industry is to really understand you have so much good in you. Make sure you slow down enough to make sure that you do what matters. And when that happens, family is strengthened because you became better. Does that make sense, Dean?
It sure does.
Yeah.
I was thinking when you're talking about taking action within 48 hours, and what happens when we don't act is it continues to kind of pile up in us and weigh on us. And you hear the stories from hospice workers of what do people regret at their end of their life? It's rarely things that they did. It's typically the things that they didn't do, isn't it?
Yep. You nailed that one. That was a home run hit right there. We never said, I wish I would have worked harder. I wish I'd have complained more. I've never seen anybody in the last few days of their life says, I wish I'd have been more grumpy. So, it is a choice of life. You can, like I said, is it easy to read? It is easy to read. The real question is it easy not to read? Yeah, there's your answer. It's easy not to read. All right. Well, here's something the agricultural industry loves. Is it easy to eat? Yes. Is it easy not to? No. Everybody has to eat, Dean, or you're going to die. The difference between what is and what's possible is that you choose to do what success requires. Everybody has to eat to survive. Not everybody has to grow. Growing is a discipline by reading. And if there's one gift I can give to everybody listening, and I know it, I wasn't a reader. I've learned to understand the importance of reading. Take time to sit to read together. That is one of the greatest gifts that I can tell you right now. A family business, a family that reads together grows together. A family that says, here's the book we're all going to read this month, and everybody reads it. Dean, that's out of the ballpark home run hit. An average American reads 0 books a year now. That's crazy stupid. You get a business that's reading maybe 4 books a year, a family business, 4 books a year together. How powerful is that, Dean?
Well, and it's something that's a shared activity that gives them a chance to have conversation about their business. And so it's a platform. So it's more about the conversation and the bringing them together than even maybe the insight in the book.
Yeah. I mean, we look at the biggest mistakes that people make when it comes to business. Number one is overpaying people. No, you just don't do that. You pay people for what they do. Number two is, people that are part of the family, that are not on the farm, that are not working the farm, should not have a voice on how the farm's to be run. I'm sorry. They might be a owner of a part of it because they're part of the family. But if they're not in the ditches, they're not in the fields, they're not doing the day and day, they don't get a voice at the table. Not when it comes to the business. And then the third one is start right. See, too often when family members are brought into the business, you got to start right. So if your kids have left the business, now they're coming back to the business, start them right. Don't just say, hey, it's great to have you. Let's go back to work. No, start right. That's on page 36 of the principles of an unstoppable family business. Start them right. These are very key elements that you got to do. And here's another big one. I know we don't have time to cover all of them. The husband and the wife is not on the same page when it comes to finances. You ever had that?
It happens.
Yeah. So that is natural. It's very common. What you have to do is correct it together. And that is very crucial, because if the husband and the wife are not on the same pages when it comes to the finances, then the possibility of growth will be limited until you get them on the same page, period. But there's a lot of things like that they can apply. And why do I write these books, Dean? Because it's my way of giving back to an industry, and giving back to business, and more importantly, giving back to family. You know me, I'm all about family. Family's worth fighting for.
That's where your passion is. And as we kind of bring it home here, any parting message that you want to make sure to hit home on?
Yeah, I would love to. First of all, family's worth fighting for. So from my heart to all of yours, Margaret and I have been married 39 years, and I always call her by the name. I call her my girlfriend, or, because one thing I'll never forget, Dean, this guy, I was doing a big program in Vegas, and during the break, I called Margaret and said, "Hey, how's my girlfriend?" And he's like, "You hypocrite, you got a girlfriend." I said, "You want to talk to my wife?" Okay. So you can give your wife and you can give your husband different names. Okay. To keep that energy and excitement into your relationship. But there's two key elements. Number one is, let's show the rest of the world being married is fun. That's all I'm going to tell you. So when you two go out for dinner or you travel together, and that's another way of having separation, make sure you take time for the two of you to go off the farm, go out of the ranch, go see the world, spend time playing together. So it brings energy back. But when you're out, do us a favor. Show the rest of the world being married is fun. Turn off the phones, look at each other, have a food fight. I didn't say that. Did I say that? And the other thing is bring the three of my favorite words that people quote me the most on, and that is bring energy home. Even though you're out in the field and you're working hard, and there's good days and tough days, and Mother Nature does all that she does to the industry almost every year, don't forget my favorite three words, and that's bring energy home. When you walk into the home, bring energy to the family, because if you do, family will give it back. Does that make sense, Dean?
Right on. Spot on. That's so powerful, because we can't leave it all on at the business. We got to bring it home.
Yeah. Well put. It is truly my privilege, and more importantly, my honor, not only to have a high level of respect for you, Dean, for your knowledge. I'm a big fan of yours, your heart, how driven you are to make a difference in an industry. And then more importantly, my ability to call you my friend. And, there's not a lot of people you can call friends, and you're one of them. And everything I do, Dean, is simple. When I do consulting for companies, we work a whole year. We do everything under one roof, everything, the finances, the people, we do everything with one goal in life. And that is, when we're done, we're going to be friends for life. And I'm thankful to call you a friend for life. So it's my honor to be part of your podcast. So thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, I appreciate you so much for sharing not only with us on this podcast, but all of the travel and speaking and work that you do, getting this message out to more people, because it is stuff that truly does make a difference in people's lives. And if people want to learn more about what you're doing and what you've got going on, where would you direct them?
Just go to Dodge Development or BryanDodge.com.
Today we had Bryan Dodge with us, and he's the author of the upcoming book, Principles of an Unstoppable Family Business. Thank you so much, Bryan.
Honor.
Bryan always has some great insights, and I appreciate him joining the show today. A few things that stood out to me. Remember that family business, despite its challenges, is a wonderful opportunity to be a part of. As Bryan said, it's the sweet spot, and make sure to be thankful, even in those times where it's tough. Another was, developing the habit of bringing the family together to communicate. And when times are tough or when times are good, it's important to make sure everybody's on the same page, so we're not playing that telephone game, hoping that everybody understands what they need to understand. And finally, getting separation between business and family. That's not just a farm thing. Anybody who's in business and has a family deals with those issues of how those boundaries get blurred. And when you are where you are, be there. Make sure that you make a priority to be wherever you are. So thanks for joining me today on this episode, and be sure to subscribe where you get podcasts so you get the latest episodes, and tell a friend about Modern Farm Business Podcast. You can always reach me at dean@modernfarmbusiness.com, and I'll look forward to seeing you again next week.